The rain in London doesn't just fall, it colonizes. On a Tuesday in late November, the gray mist clung to the glass towers of Canary Wharf like a shroud. Inside a cramped studio in Shoreditch, Elena sat staring at a blueprint that felt more like a tombstone. Once a rising star in the architectural world, Elena's life had become a masterclass in structural collapse. Her firm was hemorrhaging money, a legal dispute had frozen her assets, and the creative fire that once fueled her designs had been extinguished by a cold, numbing fear. But the physical lack of money wasn't what was killing her. It was the silence. 6 months ago, her partner Marcus, a rugged, soul-searching photographer, had traveled to the Scottish Highlands for a passion project. He was supposed to be gone for 10 days. He hadn't called in 3 months. The police had found his abandoned Land Rover near the base of the Quiraing, but the mountain had kept the man. Every morning Elena woke up to a deafening roar of absence. She spent her nights spiraling through a graveyard of what-ifs. What if he fell? What if he left me? What if I'm being punished for being too ambitious? She felt as though she were a victim of a rigged game, a cosmic joke where the heavens remained silent, no matter how hard she prayed. Her mind was a toxic loop, weaving a tapestry of worst-case scenarios that paralyzed her hands. She wasn't just broke, she was spiritually bankrupt. If you are reading this right now and feel like you are drowning in your own gray November, if you feel like life is happening to you, rather than for you, stop for a moment. You are not alone, and this story is the mirror you've been waiting for. Before we go deeper into Elena's transformation, I invite you to subscribe and join our community. Your presence here isn't an accident, it's a vibration. Let's walk this path toward the light together. Driven by a desperate, irrational need for closure, Elena packed a single bag and drove north. She didn't go to the police station. She followed a rumor she'd heard in a pub in Portree about a man named Silas. They called him the Architect of Silence. Silas lived in a primitive stone cottage near the Old Man of Store. When Elena arrived, the wind was howling off the Atlantic, whipping the grass into a frenzy. Silas was outside, kneeling by a small tide pool trapped in the rocks. He didn't look like a mystic. He looked like the earth itself, weathered, sturdy, and profoundly still. Elena didn't greet him. She broke. She fell to her knees in the mud and poured out her heart, the debt, the missing man, the suffocating fear that she was destined to lose everything. Silas listened with a face as serene as the mountainside. When she finished, he didn't offer a hug or a platitude. Instead, he took a long wooden staff and violently stirred the tide pool at his feet. The once clear water turned into a murky brown swirl of silt and decaying kelp. "Look," Silas whispered, his voice cutting through the wind. "This is your soul, Elena. You think the world has turned dark, but the water is the same as it was a minute ago. It is only your agitation that has blinded you to the floor of the ocean. You are so busy stirring the mud of your what-ifs that you've buried yourself before you've even lived." Elena stared at the swirling mess. As the staff stopped moving, the silt slowly began to drift to the bottom. The water regained its crystal clarity, reflecting the vast Scottish sky. "The tragedy isn't that Marcus is missing," Silas said softly. "The tragedy is that you have destroyed the peace of this moment for a disaster that hasn't even knocked on your door yet. You are living in a graveyard of thoughts, and you expect flowers to grow there." Silas led her inside the cottage, where a peat fire crackled. He sat her down and began to explain a secret, as old as the stars, the true nature of karma. "Most people think karma is a cosmic ledger of tit for tat," Silas began. "They think if they do something bad, they get hit by a bus. But karma is subtler. It is vibration. It is the frequency you broadcast into the universe." He told her a legend of the Bermuda Triangle. 2 captains once found themselves caught in the same terrifying storm. The first captain saw the waves as monsters sent to swallow him. He cursed the sea, gripped the wheel with white-knuckled terror, and eventually ran his ship into the reef because he could see nothing but the threat. The second captain saw the storm as a powerful energy. He didn't fight the waves. He adjusted his sails to harness their power. He realized that the wind hadn't changed, but his Drishti, his vision, had. The same wind that sank the first ship carried the second one home. Your thoughts are the lens through which the universe filters itself, Silas explained. In Sanskrit, we call the world Srishti, but it is created by your Drishti. If your lens is cracked by fear, the world will always look broken. Karma is simply the universe echoing your own song back to you. If you sing a song of lack, the universe gives you more lack. If you sing a song of strength, the mountains will move to make a path for you. He challenged her to understand that her current destiny was not a fixed point, but a reflection. To change the reflection, she had to change the face she was making at the mirror of life. Elena returned to London, but she didn't return to her old life. She returned to a sadhana, a disciplined spiritual practice. She realized that hope was not a feeling she had to wait for. It was a muscle she had to build. She began her transformation with 3 micro-changes. 1. The morning decree. Before checking her email or looking at her bank balance, she spent 20 minutes blueprinting her day. She didn't pray for money. She breathed in the feeling of being a woman who was already successful and at peace. She anchored her frequency before the world could rattle her. 2. The energetic workspace. She cleared the clutter from her studio. She lit candles and played music that resonated with order and beauty. She stopped seasoning her work with salty tears of desperation. When she sat down to design, she told herself, "I am drawing a sanctuary for someone else's peace." 3. The frequency of giving. Despite her debt, she volunteered 4 hours a week to help a local shelter redesign their communal space. By acting from a place of abundance, having something to give, she broke the scarcity cycle that had kept her paralyzed. The gray November was still there, but Elena was different. She stopped waiting for a rescue and started becoming the rescuer of her own mind. She embroidered her life with vibrant colors of expectancy. She treated her hope as a sacred duty. Slowly, the mud began to settle. A client she hadn't heard from in years called her out of the blue, saying they felt a strange pull to work with her again. Her designs, once cold and rigid, began to breathe with a new soulful light. The universe is not deaf. It is a perfect echo. 3 weeks into her practice, the phone rang. It wasn't a bill collector. It was a hospital in Inverness. Marcus had been found. He had suffered a severe concussion and amnesia after a fall, wandering into a remote shepherd's hut where there was no signal and no road. He was recovering, and his first coherent word had been her name. When Elena eventually stood with Marcus on the banks of the River Thames, she realized that the miracle didn't happen because she got lucky. It happened because she had finally stopped fighting the storm and started setting her sails. She had changed the seed of her thoughts, and the fruit of her destiny had no choice but to sweeten. My dear friend, here is the truth. Peace is not the absence of trouble. It is the presence of a faithful mind. Your life does not happen to you. It responds to you. I have a challenge for you. The 7-day thought detox. For the next 7 days, I want you to treat your thoughts like a sacred blueprint. Day 1 to 3. Every time a what-if nightmare enters your mind, stop. Visualize Silas stirring the tide pool. Say out loud, I am letting the mud settle. I choose clarity. Day 4 to 7. Act as if the miracle has already happened. Walk with the posture of a winner. Speak with the kindness of a person who has everything. The world is a mirror. If you frown, it glares. If you accept it with grace, it reflects your light. Do you have the courage to change your lens? Tell me in the comments one muddy thought you are letting go of today. Let's hold each other accountable. Keep your thoughts light, for they are the stars by which you navigate your destiny. Stay blessed, and we will see you in the next story.